The demographic transition model explains that when the economic and the social development takes place, when we see that in terms of the population growth rate, we see that initially the population growth rate is relatively higher, and later on as the economy grows in terms of the social expansion and the economic expansion both, we see that as a consequence of these two different types of developments, the population growth rate declines considerably. So if we look at the countries all across the globe, according to this particular model, which is called the demographic transition model, all the countries can be split into 4 different stages, where the first stage is labeled as the high stationary stage, in which we say that the birth rate and the mortality rate both are very high, and as long as the overall impact of these very high rates on the growth rate of population is concerned, it's not very big, but as long as the overall population size is concerned, that is relatively bigger. And then due to the improvements in the health facilities and the know-how, etc., we observe that there is a sharp decline in the death rate, and the birth rate stay consistent, and that adds considerably of bigger values in terms of the overall expansion in the population. And we see that in stage 2, which is also termed as the early expanding stage, we see that the net increase in the overall population is considerably large, and that indicates a very sharp increase in the total population in the world. And later on, when we move further, we see that because of the improvements in the health facilities and the overall health sector, the death rate starts declining, or the mortality rate starts declining sufficiently. And this also, we also observe that because of the advancements in the know-how and the education, we observe that the birth rate is also controlled to a greater extent, and as a consequence, the net increment in the total population of the world is not as big as it was in stage 2, but overall we see that because of that momentum which has been obtained or achieved in stage 2, we see an overall significant increment in the total population of the world. Eventually, when this because of the industrialization, because of the expansion, or a sizable improvement in the social sector as well as the economic sector of an economy, we observe that both the birth rates and the death rates or the mortality rates are controlled sizably, and that lead to the it puts pressure on the increase in the population growth rate, and we see that the overall growth rate of the population becomes to an extent stationary, and that particular phase is termed as stage 4 or the low stationary stage, where we see that the net contribution in the overall population becomes fairly small. So in this situation or in this stage, we observe that in a large number of countries, the net increment won't be the same. It would, we can say that the countries achieve a rate where the population gets replaced, or we say that the fertility rate is converted into the replacement rate, where the parents are replaced by just 2 kids, and this is how it continues further. But overall, the increase in the population is concerned, that is not observed as a significant or a sharp increase. Overall, the population growth rate or the population size becomes constant. So if by observing this particular phenomenon in the actual world, we see that this kind of a pattern can be observed in some of the developed nations, but as long as the developing countries are concerned, we observe 2 different types of patterns. So you will be seeing a diagram in which a general overview of the model, the demographic transition model, has been explained in the context of Western Europe. So we see that in Western Europe, if you take the actual data, it confirms this demographic transition model by saying that actually we observe the 4 stages, and we saw that in stage 1 in Western Europe, the birth rate was higher and the death rate was also considerably higher. And then moving further, particularly we see that in the first quarter of the 19th century, when the modernization took place, or when we say that the modernization started, we observed that there was a sharp decline in the death rate in Western Europe, and the birth rate was kind of like constant at that time. But moving further, we observed that because of the expansion of the health sector, because of the expansion of the know-how and the awareness of having a smaller family size, and again we see that because of this greater proportion of women who is contributing towards the national output, or the working woman proportion got a big significantly large. Therefore, we observed that the birth rate in Western Europe started declining sharply, and eventually by the year 2000, we observed that the net increment in the overall population growth rate is observed to be very small as compared to what it was initially when we look into the data for 1780 onwards until 1840, which we categorize as the stage 1 in terms of the demographic transition model. But this particular phenomenon was observed in the context of Western Europe. But if we look the same thing in terms of the developing countries, we observe multiple type of performances. So overall, there are 2 categories in which the entire progress can be split into. In other words, if we look at the pattern of the increase in the population, the growth in the birth rate, or the changes in the mortality rate in terms of the developing countries, we observe that overall all the developing countries can be categorized in terms of 2 different cases. So the first case is labeled as case A, and the diagram which you are seeing right now explains these 2 cases separately, and I'm going to explain the 2 cases to you in detail. As you can see that in stage 1, we don't see any split in this pattern. The birth rate is, in terms of the developing countries, is considerably higher, and the mortality rate is also very high. But when we move further from 1950 onwards, we can categorize this particular phase as stage 2, where we see that because of the advancements in the health sector, the access to clean water, the sanitation facilities got advanced, and the vaccination campaigns were spread out throughout the world, particularly in developing countries as well. So we see that there was a sharp decline in the death rate, which has been observed in stage 2 in the developing countries. But there you see that when we see that stage 2 got over, somewhere closer to 1965, 1970, we see that there was a big difference in terms of the birth rates decline. So we see that there is a sharp contrast as long as the birth rate in the developing countries, in certain countries, when we take into account all the countries that are developed, we see that there are 2 types of trends in terms of the fall in the birth rate. In some countries, we saw a sharp decline in the birth rate, whereas in certain other countries, which are under the head of developing countries, we observe that the sharp decline wasn't there, although we see a slight dip in the birth rate, but we don't see any significant decrement or fall in the birth rates. And that is primarily because of certain issues, as long as the religious opinions are concerned, or certain other things are concerned, or maybe as long as the educational advancements are concerned. In those countries, the educational advancements are not of that extent which we observe in those countries where it went down sharply. So if we label the 2 cases as case A and case B, we see that in the countries that fall in the category of case A showed a very significant or a big decline in terms of the birth rate in stage 3 onwards. So this led to the total increment in the overall population in those countries that fell considerably. But on the other hand, the countries that have been categorized as case B countries, where we see some sort of decline in birth rate, but the birth rate decline is not very significant. There we see that overall the increase in the growth rate was sufficiently large as compared to the countries that fell in the case A category. Switching over to the death rate or the mortality rate, again we see two types of trends that can be significant, that can be labeled as case A and case B in this case as well. So in case A, the countries that fall in this category, again we saw that the mortality rate fell very significantly, and in the case B countries we saw that mortality rate although significantly fell, but this was not of the same level as that has been registered by the countries that we categorize under the head of case A. So as long as the countries that fall in case A category or that follow the pattern that has been represented in terms of the falling birth rate and the falling death rate under the head of case A, the countries include Taiwan, South Korea, Costa Rica, China, Cuba, Chile, Sri Lanka, whereas the countries that fall in case B are the countries that fall in the region of Sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle Eastern countries, where we observe that although the mortality rate went down, but at the same time birth rate was also controlled to a certain extent, but we don't see a significant fall in the birth rate. So that has to do with a number of reasons that were explored by the theorists. And according to the people, they said that basically as long as the penetration of the education facilities are concerned, or the changes in the perceptions, or in having a certain mindset that having a bigger family is something which is associated to the strength of the family is concerned, or empowerment of the woman is concerned, these were the areas that explain that we don't see a significant or a sharp decline in the birth rate in the countries that fall in case B. So moving on to the criticism of demographic transition model, we see that overall this particular thing can be categorized as something which clearly is focused upon, or which is completely based upon the overall performance of the industrialization process that took place in the European countries. So if you explain or you see or analyze the demographic transition model, it kind of like translates perfectly the industrialization process in European countries, and there we observe that it can perfectly explain how the overall trends in terms of the birth rate, the net contribution in the growth rate of population, and the mortality rate moved exactly, and this is perfectly explained by that. But as long as other countries are concerned, we don't see a perfect kind of demonstration that is being displayed by the data or by the patterns we observe in the developing nations. So this is something which is very, very much strictly related to the European countries. Another important thing is that it's a kind of process through which every country has to pass, and once the country will get into stage 1, then it will move on to stage 2, then it will move on to stage 3, and then it will end up at stage 4. But we don't see that all the countries in the world exactly follow this kind of a pattern. So again, it also does not explain what are the reasons and what are the factors behind this process in which, through which a country passes, and it goes through all these 4 different stages. Secondly, the entire emphasis in the overall growth rate of population according to the demographic transition model is laid upon 2 important variables. One is the birth rate and the other is the mortality rate, and we see that it does not take into account the impact or the role played by the wars or famines or other certain natural disasters that can change the demographics or the overall population growth rate or the size of the population in a country during a certain time period. So it lays too much emphasis on these two variables, which are the birth rate and the mortality rate. Nextly, we see that the model assumes that reductions in the fertility rate is primarily because when people start earning a larger income or they see that the wealth has been increased, the model says that because of the accumulation of a higher level of accumulation of wealth leads to a smaller size of the family, which may not be the only reason. Because there could be multiple factors that can play a significant role in determining the size of the family. And even if it has been observed in different parts of the world, even if the accumulation of wealth is of a higher degree, as can be seen in the Arab countries, we can see that although they have got a lot of wealth, but at the same time they emphasize a lot on this principle that they should have a bigger family as well. So as long as the demographic transition model is concerned, it emphasizes it is based upon this assumption that when people see that we have got a lot of wealth, or we have accumulated a sufficiently larger proportion of the physical resources, then they start going for smaller families. So which shouldn't be taken up as the which shouldn't be taken up as just one reason that leads to the smaller family size. There could be a number of other factors that can play a significant role in explaining the decline in the fertility rate, or why the family size is smaller now. So there can be other than this particular thing that accumulation of wealth increases, as has been assumed by the demographic transition model, there can be a number of social factors, there can be a number of economic factors, there can be a number of cultural aspects that can explain why now it has been decided that the family size should be smaller, or we see that the overall birth rate or the fertility rate goes down not exclusively because of a greater accumulation of wealth. It could be because suppose there must be some sort of kind of change in the fashion maybe, or there could be some sort of adjustments on the changes on the culture, or we can say that the cost of maintaining a family goes up significantly, and that also leads to the reduction of the size of the family. We observe very high fertility rates in the developing countries. So one might think, आप भी सोचते होंगे कि इसके पीछे क्या वजह हो सकती है कि particularly developing countries में हमें बहुत ज़्यादा high level के birth rates या fertility rates देखने को मिलते हैं. So जो developing economists हैं, उनमें से काफ़ी सारे लोगों ने इस particular चीज़ को analyze किया, इसको study किया है, and they have come up with different opinions. We are going to discuss two models that explain why in the developing countries the overall fertility level is considerably higher. So one is the Malthusian model, right, which has been promulgated by Malthus, and this is a very famous model. People have definitely gone through this model, or must have heard about it in sociology and other domains as well, जिसके हम political economics में या political science में भी इसको discuss करते हैं. So it explains कि population किस तरह से strongly या sufficiently या बहुत तेजी से grow करती है. So the next thing we are going to discuss, that is also going to help us in understanding why in the developing countries the fertility rate is seen or observed as pretty high. So these are the two things that we will be discussing now. The first thing which I am going to discuss with you is the Malthusian population trap theory, और ये इसका basic idea है कि जो population है वो rise करती है with geometric rate of progression, और जो food है that will increase by arithmetic rate. So naturally arithmetic rate में एक constant increment आता चला जाएगा, और geometric rate में आपको पता है कि progress काफ़ी many times more होती जाती है every next period में. So if the population continues according to this model, Malthus ने बोला कि if the population is assumed to be growing with the geometric progression, and the food expands or grows with an arithmetic rate with a certain constant increment, so naturally a stage will come jahan the increase in the population will outnumber the growth in the food or the facilities that are necessary for the population to survive, and eventually a stage will come jahan low levels of living में लोग आ जाएंगे या subsistence level के ऊपर बैठ जाएंगे जाके. So then he says that this significant increase or a massive increase in the population is going to end up in bringing a number of problems for the overall economy or for the overall world. So this is the basic idea behind the Malthusian population trap, and this particular theory was, as I mentioned, was promulgated by Thomas Malthus, and this idea came into being in 1798. This is a pretty old concept, और जिसमें उन्होंने geometric progression और arithmetic progression की बात की थी. So according to the theory, it has been emphasized कि in order to overcome कि subsistence wage के ऊपर जाके नहीं बैठ जाए सारी दुनिया और वहाँ से problems create हो जाएंगे according to this theory. अगर ऐसा हम इस चीज़ को control करना चाहें तो Malthus ने suggest करा कि this can only be stopped if people go for the preventive checks or the positive checks. So अगर population के increment को control किया जाए कि वो इतनी sufficiently या strongly rise नहीं करे और overpower ना कर जाए increment या improvements in the food के output को, तो this may help us in reducing or in avoiding this population trap. जिसमें it was suggested कि government can intervene कि वो marriages को delay कर दें या postponement कर दें और food के ऊपर tax लगा दें ताकि लोगों की जो living cost है वो महंगी हो जाए और लोग इससे खौफ खा के या डर के बहुत बड़ी population की increase करने में contribute नहीं करें. और in addition to that, he also emphasized or highlighted that there may be certain positive checks also, जैसे कि famine आ जाती हैं या war है या कोई diseases हैं जिसकी वजह से डेथ रेट इंक्रीज कर जाएगा, तो उससे भी चेक्स लग सकते हैं इन द ओवरऑल एक्सपेंशन ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन, एंड दैट मे स्लो डाउन or increase the time period which will lead the entire world towards this population trap कि वहाँ मसाइल पैदा नहीं होंगे. So in order to control this thing, Malthus ने काफ़ी suggestions आइडेंटिफाई किया या बताए कि गवर्नमेंट्स अगर पॉलिसीज बनाएं और लोगों को समझाएं या लोगों को बताएं कि these could be the good things or the bad things associated with this particular concept, then this is something which can be taken care of, and this is how the population trap which was identified by this model को हम control कर सकते हैं. So if we look at the explanation of this particular model, we see that this particular Malthusian population trap can be nicely explained or easily explained or understood by the help of this particular diagram which you can see right now. यहाँ हमने income per capita को लिया है x-axis के ऊपर और vertical axis के ऊपर हमने growth rate लिया है. Growth rate is of two things. हम पॉपुलेशन का ग्रोथ रेट भी ले रहे हैं वर्टिकल एक्सिस के ऊपर और हम टोटल इनकम का ग्रोथ रेट भी ले रहे हैं वर्टिकल एक्सिस के ऊपर. सो अगेन वी नो कि हम जब चेंज इन अ सर्टेन वेरिएबल लेते हैं तो दैट इज गिवन बाय डेल्टा. फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई से चेंज इन वेरिएबल एक्स तो उसको हम रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं डेल्टा एक्स के साथ. चेंज इन वेरिएबल वाई विल बी रिप्रेजेंटेड एज डेल्टा वाई. बट अगर हम ग्रोथ रेट को सिंबलाइज करते हैं या ग्रोथ रेट को कैलकुलेट करते हैं तो उसके लिए जो सिंबल हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं या जो कॉन्सेप्ट हम मैथमेटिक्स का इस्तेमाल करते हैं दैट इज गिवन एज डेल्टा that variable. For example, if I am interested in finding out the growth rate of y, for example, y is some variable, the growth rate of y will be given as delta y divided by y. So आपको ये दोनों symbols, इस symbol की application मिलेगी population की growth rate की curve में और income का growth rate के curve में. So you can see that population growth rate has been labeled as delta p over p, and the total income growth rate has been labeled as delta y over y. So you can see that there are these two curves. Firstly, I am going to discuss income per capita के increase होते होते growth rate of income का अगर हम relationship को draw करेंगे तो you will see a curve which first increases और वो एक certain level achieve करके it becomes constant then, right? So वो dip नहीं करिए, वो increase करिए. So this particular graph indicates the overall growth rate of the total income in an economy over the income per capita. So the next thing which you can see in this diagram is the population growth rate, and if you look at this curve which explains the population growth rate, ये बताती है कि जैसे जैसे आपकी income grow होती चली जाएगी वैसे वैसे आपका population का growth rate बढ़ता चला जाता है. It reaches a certain maximum level and then it starts declining, and eventually जब income बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ जाए तो population का growth rate zero हो जाएगा. So this kind of a pattern is observed particularly in the developed nation, जहाँ इनकम जब बहुत ज़्यादा हाई हो जाती है तो पॉपुलेशन का ग्रोथ रेट जीरो के करीब पहुंच जाता है. सो देयर यू कैन सी दैट पॉइंट कैन बी एक्सप्लेन्ड बाय यूजिंग दिस पर्टिकुलर डायग्राम कि आप देखेंगे कि इनकम पर कैपिटा व्हेन इट रीचेस अ वेरी हाई लेवल देन द पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट टचेस द एक्स एक्सिस व्हिच इंडिकेट्स कि पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट वहां जाके हाई लेवल ऑफ इनकम पर कैपिटा के ऊपर जीरो हो गई है. सो आई एम गोइंग टू डायग्रेस अपॉन पॉइंट एस. सो जो पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट का कर्व है वो इनकम ग्रोथ रेट के कर्व को इंटरसेक्ट करा है दो पॉइंट्स के ऊपर. द फर्स्ट पॉइंट हैज बीन लेबल्ड एज एस पॉइंट एंड द सेकंड पॉइंट हैज बीन लेबल्ड एज टी. सो आई एम गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज मेंट बाय एस. बिफोर the point of intersection labeled as S, you can see that the income growth rate exceeds the population growth rate. So if आपकी इनकम, लोगों की इनकम या आपकी इनकम इंक्रीज करे है by a higher growth rate as compared to the population growth rate, the income will increase, right? So naturally अगर हम देख रहे हैं कि हमारा जो population का growth rate है वो कम है as compared to हमारे income के growth rate से, तो naturally this will cause the income will go up and the population to go up as well. So as a consequence of this, people when they have more money, they naturally try to they have a bigger family, and this leads to the increment in the population growth rate as well as the increment in the incomes growth rate. So the two become equivalent to one another, and if we see further towards this S के forward अगर आप जाएंगे तो you can see that eventually a level is achieved where the population growth rate exceeds or supersedes the growth rate of income, and that will result the income to go down. आप एरोहेड देख रहे हैं कि एस से पहले आपको मूवमेंट देखने को मिल रहा है दैट द इकोनॉमी इज मूविंग टुवर्ड्स एस. इसका मतलब दैट व्हेन द इनकम ग्रोथ रेट इज लार्जर देन द पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट, द पर कैपिटा इनकम इंक्रीजेस. बट इफ द पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट बिकम्स लार्जर देन द income's growth rate, then the per capita income decreases and you start moving towards point S. And if you further expand, if the same thing continues, eventually a level will be achieved which is called the threshold level, where because of the advancements in the facilities, the health sector's development, we see that eventually because of the greater know-how or awareness in the people, we see that as the income increases further, population growth rate आपकी जो है वो decline करना शुरू कर देती है, and eventually a point will come where the population growth rate will intersect the income growth rate, and then population growth rate हमें इसके beyond अगर आप देखेंगे तो वो further decline होती हुई देखने को मिलेगी. And this particular point can be verified अगर हम if we look at the data of the developed nations, जहाँ पे हम देखते हैं कि इनकम पर कैपिटा बहुत ज़्यादा हाई है. लोगों को पता है कि हम अगर बूढ़े हो जाएंगे तो हमें बहुत ज़्यादा बच्चों का डिपेंडेंट नहीं होना चाहिए, वो हमारा ध्यान नहीं रखेंगे. देर आर सम एडवांसमेंट्स इन द सोशल सेटअप. ये गवर्नमेंट ने ऐसे के हमारे लिए प्रोविजंस रखे हैं जहां वी विल बी लुक्ड आफ्टर और टेकन केयर ऑफ बाय द गवर्नमेंट और बाय देर इज सम सॉर्ट ऑफ सोशल सपोर्ट दैट इज गोइंग टू बी देयर. सो एज अ कॉन्सिक्वेंस ऑफ दिस दे माइट नॉट एंड अप इन हैविंग अ बिगर फैमिली साइज और अ वेरी हाई ग्रोथ रेट ऑफ पॉपुलेशन. सो वी सी दैट इवेंचुअली if that stage turns out to be there, then the population growth rate starts declining and eventually it becomes zero. But as long as the income growth rate is concerned, it will continuously, it will keep on staying, it will go up to a certain level and then it continues staying at the same level. वहाँ जाके उसका जो increment है वो आपको नहीं नजर आ रहा, वो जाके stationary हो जाता है. It is positive, it is at a certain level, but you don't see a positive or a downward trend in that. वो stationary हो गया है. So this is what has been explained by the Malthusian population trap, and this is very much in line with the Heterodomer growth model we discussed earlier. And again we see that Heterodomer model के accordingly हमारा जो growth rate है वो expedite हो सकता है या बढ़ सकता है depending upon the saving ratio. So when we see that when the income grows, when the growth rate of income is higher, naturally people are able to save more and more and more, and that helps them in further increasing the overall growth rate of the income. But at the same time we see that at very low levels of income, people may be dependent upon this idea or notion that they should have a bigger family, and as a consequence of this we see that the population growth rate initially significantly or sharply goes up, and then after reaching a certain level it starts declining, and then it even goes to the extent that it becomes zero. So this thing is very much in line, or can this process of expansion or growth in the overall economy is very much in line with the concept of Heterodomer model, where we emphasize that expansion can take place based upon a greater volume of the savings and capital accumulation, and when that saving or capital accumulation is invested, that leads to expansion in the overall economy. So as long as the negative side of the Malthusian model is concerned, still there are a number of things. As I mentioned earlier, Malthus ने कहा कि अगर हम ज्योमेट्रिकली प्रोग्रेस करती हुई पॉपुलेशन को प्रिवेंट नहीं करते, रोकते नहीं है, तो इवेंचुअली अ स्टेज विल कम वेयर people will compete for the resources, and because land fixed है और it is subject to diminishing returns, so eventually a stage will come when people will start living at the subsistence wage level. का मतलब कि where the competition will increase so much कि आपकी जो food की expansion है वो limited है, और the mouths to feed are growing enormously. So eventually competition इतनी ज़्यादा हो जाएगी और लोग इतने ज़्यादा हो जाएंगे और दुनिया लोगों से इतनी भर जाएगी कि हर किसी को compete करके सिर्फ subsistence level का food या basic necessities मिलने जा रहे हैं. So if we analyze the dynamics of this particular model, we see that it completely negates the concept of technological progress. Critics of Malthusian model identify that there may be some good things as well. For example, आप food के लिए innovations लेके आके, technological advancements लेके आके फूड की क्वांटिटी को many times more expand कर सकते हैं as compared to आपका population जिस रेट के साथ में ग्रो कर रहा है. So the increment in the population can be overpowered by a significantly sharp or big increment in the food production due to the technological advancements. And if that thing happens, so naturally आप given resources, say fixed supply of land, say fixed supply of natural resources, say by involving a high tech in technological things, आप टेक्नोलॉजी को इस्तेमाल करके बहुत ज़्यादा बड़े क्वांटिटी में फूड के प्रोडक्शन कर सकते हैं, और जितना भी पॉपुलेशन आपका इंक्रीज कर जाए, नेचुरली इट विल बी वेरी इजी comparatively for you to feed them nicely in a respectable way, और वहाँ subsistence wage के ऊपर जाके end up हो जाए economy, ऐसा possible नहीं हो सकता. In this diagram, I am going to discuss with you how technological advancements can play a significant role in improving the overall total national income growth rate, and this can overpower the increment in the population growth rate. So over here you can see that along the x-axis income per capita has been taken, and along the vertical axis the growth rate of population and the growth rate of income per capita has been accounted for. और you can see that total income का growth rate और population का growth rate को हम measure कर रहे हैं along the vertical axis, और horizontal axis के ऊपर हमने income per capita लिया हुआ है. So जब हम Malthus model की diagram को discuss करते हैं, you will see that there were 2 points of intersection. Initially income का growth rate ऊपर था, population का growth rate नीचे था. They both go up, and a point comes where the two curves were intersecting each other. Later on, after this point we observed that according to Malthus ने कहा कि population की growth rate ज्योमेट्रिक प्रोग्रेशन के साथ या ज्योमेट्रिक रेट के साथ ग्रो करेगी, और आपका जो इनकम या नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज हैं उनका रिटर्न या आउटपुट ग्रो करता है अरिथमेटिक रेट के साथ। देयरफॉर जब आप ग्रोथ रेट ऑफ इनकम को देखेंगे तो उसमें उस हिसाब से ग्रोथ रेट नहीं नजर आती जैसे आपको पॉपुलेशन का ग्रोथ रेट शार्पली इंक्रीज होता हुआ देखने को मिलता है। एंड इवेंचुअली अ पॉइंट कम्स वेयर इट स्टार्ट्स कन्वर्जिंग विद वेयर द पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट स्टार्ट्स डिक्लाइनिंग, राइट? सो I said that according to certain critiques, this cannot be the actual thing, because as we can see in this diagram, we see that population की growth rate increase करती है, as has been explained by Malthus. It reaches a certain level and then it starts becoming stationary, और फिर उसके बाद वो टेपर डाउन या नीचे जाना शुरू कर देती है। इसका मतलब है कि आपने नाइसली कंट्रोल किया है बर्थ रेट को और आप इसमें कामयाब हो गए हैं कि पॉपुलेशन की ग्रोथ रेट कांस्टेंट रहने के बाद इट स्टार्ट्स डिक्लाइनिंग। बट एट द सेम टाइम जब आप टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट्स लेके आएंगे या आपने अपना सोशल जो सेक्टर है उसके अंदर कुछ पॉजिटिविटी लेके आए हैं या प्रोग्रेस हुआ है, लोगों को इस बात का अहमियत का अंदाजा हो गया है कि हमें बहुत ज़्यादा बड़े फैमिली को नहीं प्रोड्यूस करना चाहिए, या दे स्टार्ट डिपेंडिंग मोर अपॉन देयर फिजिकल रिसोर्सेज, या वो ज़्यादा आउटपुट को प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं अब, और एज अ कॉन्सिक्वेंस ऑफ दैट दे आर लेस डिपेंडेंट अपॉन देयर किड्स और द चिल्ड्रन इन particularly when they fear that when they will grow up or when they will grow old, तो they need their kids to help them or to take care of them. So ऐसा नहीं है। तो in that case when we see that due to certain technological advancements or social progress, आपका जो इनकम ग्रोथ रेट है वो बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रांगली शार्पली इंक्रीज कर जाता है और पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट से बहुत ज़्यादा ऊपर आपको अच्छा वाला पॉजिटिव मूवमेंट दिखाता है। सो इफ इट डज नॉट इंटरसेक्ट द पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट एट एनी पॉइंट, दिस इज समथिंग विच इज डूएबल एंड पॉसिबल, राइट? ये हम रियल लाइफ में बिल्कुल पॉसिबली इसको विजुअलाइज कर सकते हैं कि ऐसा हो सकता है। सो इन दैट काइंड ऑफ अ सिचुएशन वी डोंट सी एनी pessimistic situation appearing in the society as has been highlighted by Malthus. जैसे Malthus ने कहा कि eventually a stage will come where the growth in the population is going to overpower या exceed the progress that is made by the real sector. इकोनॉमी का जो इनकम है उसको वो ओवर पावर कर जाएगा और सब्सिस्टेंस रेट आ जाएगी, वहाँ हमें ये देखने को नहीं मिलता। यू कैन स्टिल सी इवन इफ इट स्टार्ट्स टेपरिंग डाउन, आपका फुल एम्प्लॉयमेंट लेवल अचीव हो जाए और आप देख रहे हैं कि टोटल नेशनल इनकम का ग्रोथ रेट अगर कम भी होना शुरू हो जाता है, तो हमने टेक्नोलॉजिकली इतना एडवांस वाले लेवल के ऊपर इनकम को ग्रो किया हुआ है कि आपका पॉपुलेशन का ग्रोथ रेट अभी भी बहुत सिग्निफिकेंटली उससे नीचे बैठा हुआ है। सो यू वोंट see any situation appearing jahan people end up in terms of a subsistence wage rate. So this is another thing that can be seen as a criticism on the Malthus model of population trap. So next thing I'm going to refer to is a very comprehensive and a very realistic model which explains why there is a high fertility rate or a high birth rate. Then we also observe that Malthus की model depend करती है strongly on a strong positive correlation between the growth rate of population and the levels of per capita income. But if we look at the world nowadays या past में जाएंगे, history का कोई भी data उठाएंगे, in nowhere कोई भी ऐसी की country नहीं है जिसका data आपको इस particular relationship को support करने में मदद दे. For example, I just said कि according to Malthus model जो population का growth rate है वो और per capita दोनों depend करते हैं एक दूसरे के ऊपर, and there is a strong correlation, and the entire model is structured or built up on this particular assumption. But if you look at the real world scenario, we don't see that per capita income plays a significant role or even a weak role in influencing the population growth rate. So we see that they are altogether two different things, और per capita income के जो determinants हैं, population के growth rate के जो determinants हैं, they are altogether two different things or two different domains. So population की growth rate per capita income से नहीं determine होने जा रही. There are a number of other factors जो कि population की growth rate को influence करते हैं, एंड वी हैव डिस्कस्ड अ नंबर ऑफ दोज थिंग्स जो कि हेल्प करते हैं इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि कोई भी इकोनॉमी में अगर पॉपुलेशन की ग्रोथ रेट बड़ी है या छोटी है, लाइक इफ द पॉपुलेशन इज ग्रोइंग सिग्निफिकेंटली और वीकली, उसको एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए देयर आर अ नंबर ऑफ फैक्टर्स, फॉर एग्जांपल इंक्रीज इन द बर्थ रेट और द हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज और द नो हाउ, या टोटल पॉपुलेशन ऑफ अ कंट्री के अंदर कितना बड़ा प्रोपोर्शन फीमेल्स का है और कितनी फीमेल्स काम कर रही हैं, उनका लेवल ऑफ एजुकेशन क्या है, उनका इन्फ्लुएंस in the overall decision making, particularly decision regarding the size of the family क्या है, ये सारी की सारी चीजें determine करते हैं किसी भी economy के अंदर कि उसके population का size क्या होगा. So but if we say that it has a strong correlation or a relationship with the per capita income that is there in an economy at a certain time, we don't see any link or a relationship in the real world. So we say that the basic assumption on which Malthus-Key model has been constructed is kind of like has no empirical standing, या empirical evidence कोई ऐसी इस चीज को support नहीं करती है. Then we also observe that if we look at the Malthus model, it says that it is the size of the family or the growth rate of population determine हो रही है macroeconomic level के ऊपर. So like internationally या national level के ऊपर decide होने जा रही है कि it is now growing up based upon a higher number of savings, and naturally when we see that we can afford and we can have a bigger family को हम के अखराजात उठा सकते हैं, तो they go for it. Then eventually when they see that they have accumulated a lot of physical wealth, then they decide to have a little family size. We see that practically in the real world, determination of the family size or increase in the population is a more individualistic kind of a thing. ये family के within decide होती है, or we can say that it is a microeconomic concept in which the family on its own, based upon the resources it has, based upon the preferences it has, decides कि what is going to be the size of the family. और national level के ऊपर या global level के ऊपर ये चीज decide नहीं होने जा रही है. So we can see that as long as the growth rate of population is concerned, it is a bit more individualistic as compared to the aggregate or a macroeconomic variable or a macroeconomic phenomenon. This model is known as the microeconomic household theory of fertility. This theory or this model basically explains why in the developing countries we observe high fertility rates. So we see that this model can be explained in terms of a mathematical equation or a mathematical model in which the demand for children can be explained as a function of 4 variables, which include the level of household income, the net price of children, the price of all other goods, and the taste for goods relative to children. So I'm going to explain हम in developing countries demand बच्चों की demand को करने के लिए एक्सप्लेन करते हैं, इस पर्टिकुलर एस्पेक्ट को या फिनोमिनन को एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं एक मैथमेटिकल मॉडल के फॉर्म में, जिसमें इट हैज बीन अस्यूम्ड और हाइपोथेसाइज्ड कि जो आपका डिमांड फॉर चिल्ड्रन है वो डिपेंड करता है प्राइमरीली 4 फैक्टर्स के ऊपर. सबसे पहली बात कि आपके हाउस होल्ड का इनकम कितना है, फिर आप जब डिमांड करने जा रहे हैं चिल्ड्रन को तो आपको एक बच्चे की कॉस्ट कितनी पड़ती है एक्सपेक्टेड. और thirdly you are going to take into account के naturally if you are talking about a household, तो this is not the only thing which you are going to go for या जिसके ऊपर आप पैसा spend करने जा रहे हैं. There would be a number of other things also which you will be needing to survive, right? And what are the prices of those items in other than the children which you are going to consume for your survival. The next thing is the taste for goods relative to children. So we see that this is something which will vary from person to person, and this is purely subjective because there may be certain individuals जिनको other things से उतना satisfaction नहीं मिल सकता as compared to that amount of satisfaction or the extent of satisfaction which they can have when they have children. And there may be certain individuals जहाँ जो material things हैं या physical things हैं उनसे जो satisfaction मिलती है उन लोगों को, that could be many times more than the satisfaction which they can get from children. So this is something which is going to be measured by another variable, and that variable is labeled as the taste for goods relative to children. So if we construct a mathematical model, we can write this thing down in the form of a function where the demand for children is dependent upon 4 independent variables, and these independent variables have been symbolized as y, pc, px and tx, which you can see in the form of a functional notation. आपको देखने को मिल रहा होगा, और अभी आप इसके साथ ही में देख सकते हैं कि हमने px और tx लिया है के साथ एक सबस्क्रिप्ट लगी हुई है x. So this means that we are talking about n goods जो कि varying from 1 to n variation दिखा रही है. So we can have a number of different types of goods जिनके prices are going to be accounted for, or there are a number of other goods जिसकी prices, obviously it's a variable, we can't have a constant for a certain price level for all the goods that will be other than children that can be accounted for in this model. So if you go for the explanation according to the conditions or the new classical conditions that have been put on this model, या इस मॉडल को वजाहत करने के लिए, this has been assumed कि जो demand for children है वो अभी हमने डिस्कस किया कि वो डिपेंड करती है कि उस हाउस होल्ड का इनकम कितना है, एंड वी सी दैट देयर इज अ पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन द 2 वेरिएबल्स. इसका मतलब अगर किसी इंडिविजुअल की, अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस मॉडल, अगर किसी इंडिविजुअल की इनकम ज्यादा है हाउस होल्ड की, या उस इंडिविजुअल की इनकम ज्यादा है, तो ही विल बी डिमांडिंग अ हायर नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन. सेकेंडली, वी आर अस्यूमिंग कि इफ द कॉस्ट ऑफ अदर goods which you have to take into account for the survival, for example, is higher, then it will also lead to a greater demand of children. So अगर जो physical चीजें हैं या other than children चीजें आप लेने जा रहे हो, उनकी prices अगर ज्यादा हैं तो आप ज्यादा children को demand करते हैं. So there is a positive relationship between the price and the number of children you are demanding. The next thing we are going to see is the third variable, जो कि price of children है. So naturally अगर cost of having a child और उसको बड़ा करना और उसको पढ़ाना लिखाना ज्यादा है, तो naturally you will be demanding less children. The fourth thing is the fourth variable जो हमने अभी डिस्कस किया था, goods relative to children. So अगर आप प्रेफर करते हैं ज्यादा फिजिकल गुड्स को, या चिल्ड्रन के अलावा जो चीजें आप खरीद सकते हैं या ले सकते हैं या पाल सकते हैं, उन की कॉस्ट अगर हायर होगी, तो नेचुरली यू विल बी, इफ यू अटैच अ हायर लेवल ऑफ सेटिस्फैक्शन और हायर प्रेफरेंस टू दोज थिंग्स, तो नेचुरली यू विल बी डिमांडिंग लेस चिल्ड्रन. सो देयर इज अ नेगेटिव रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन प्रेफरेंस फॉर अदर थिंग्स अदर देन children and the demand for children. So this is how these 4 independent variables can be explained. So this particular phenomenon, which is pretty interesting, can be explained in terms of a diagram. So I'm going to illustrate the diagram to you, but before that, again, अगर आपका जो कॉन्सेप्ट है प्राइस थ्योरी का वो बहुत अच्छा है, यानी कि आपने इंडिफरेंस कर्व और बजट लाइन ये सब चीजें आपको बहुत अच्छी तरह से आते हैं, तो तभी आपको बहुत आसानी होगी इस पर्टिकुलर डायग्राम को समझने के लिए. और दिस डायग्राम लुक्स अ बिट ट्रिकी या कॉम्प्लिकेटेड सी है, लेकिन व्हेन यू ब्रेक इट इनटू डिफरेंट पार्ट्स तो ये काफी आसान हो जाती है समझने के लिए. सो इनिशियली आई एम गोइंग टू स्टार्ट ऑफ विद द बेसिक्स. सो आप यहाँ पे हम समझ रहे हैं कि इन दिस डायग्राम हम अस्यूम कर रहे हैं हमारा डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन डिजायर्ड विच इज CD को हमने लिया है एक्स एक्सिस के ऊपर, एंड गुड्स कंज्यूम्ड बाय द पेरेंट्स को हमने लिया है along the vertical axis. So naturally you have to have a trade off between the two. आपने decide करना है how many children and how many goods. So this diagrams tells you कि आपका overall satisfaction level किस point पे जाके maximum होता है अगर आपने trade off करनी है goods other than children और children के बीच में. So what is going to be the number of children and the number of goods that is going to yield maximum level of satisfaction for a consumer. So हम assume कर रहे हैं कि इनिशियली हमारे पास जो इनकम है उसकी बेसिस के ऊपर, इफ यू स्पेंड योर एंटायर इनकम ऑन द चिल्ड्रन तो आपके पास मैक्सिमम पॉइंट आएगा B, which you can have, and along the x-axis similarly if you spend the entire income on the goods other than children, तो vertical axis के ऊपर आपको पॉइंट मिलेगी A, और अगर आप A और B को ज्वाइन कर दें तो आपके पास एक बजट कंस्ट्रेंट या बजट लाइन आ जाती है. दिस इज द सेम बजट लाइन which we have learned way back in microeconomics, जो जब आप प्राइस थ्योरी या कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर को समझते हैं या पढ़ते हैं वहां आपने बजट लाइन सीखा होगा. सो इस बजट लाइन के ऊपर आपको देखने को मिल रहा है एक इंडिफरेंस कर्व जिसको लेबल किया गया है एज I2. सो इंडिफरेंस कर्व के सारे वो पॉइंट्स होते हैं जहां को एक सर्टन लेवल ऑफ सेटिस्फैक्शन मिल रही है. सो द इंडिफरेंस कर्व I2 इज टेंजेंट टू द बजट लाइन AB at point F. So we see that the consumer is maximizing the level of satisfaction at point F, where he is having C3 number of children and G2 number of goods other than children. So if the income increases, income of an individual increases, naturally this particular increase in the income can be observed as a parallel shift of the budget line upwards, और आपको नया budget line देखने को मिल रहा है A prime B prime, और वहाँ आप naturally a higher level of satisfaction के ऊपर बैठे होंगे where you can have more children and more goods other than children, and the level of satisfaction can also go up. Now if we decide that suppose if the cost of having children increases, यानी कि उनका अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट बढ़ जाए अगर, या आपको एक बच्चे को पालने के लिए ज़्यादा पैसे दरकार हों, तो नेचुरली आपकी जो बजट लाइन है वो इनवर्ड रोटेट हो जाएगी, और यू कैन सी दैट दिस विल लीड टू स्मॉलर नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन as a consequence of increase in the price of having children, and naturally you will start substituting the cheaper thing by having less of children and more of the goods other than children. So this is how you can explain the size that is demanded of children by a household, and which is said to be a function of 4 important variables which I have just mentioned. And if you analyze this particular aspect, so it's kind of like the decision that is being undertaken by a household on individual terms by looking at the cost of living and how much income that person is having, etc. And we can't say that it is the size of the family is determined on national or a global level or a macroeconomic level. So this is something which has been explained by the model, that the family size or the number of children a family has is exclusively dependent upon how much income a family earns, what is the cost of having children, and what is the relative cost of the prices of the goods which he or she has to buy in order to survive or in order to live a certain standard of life. And the other thing is the preference which people give or attach with either the children or with the goods that they are interested in having other than children.